Hey Dan, here's your swings from earlier today. It's good to see you, man. Well, I'll see you next Friday. Probably be in touch with you before then. So, setup adjustments. I mean, your contact was definitely towards the heel, hosel, neck of the club, and the ones that you did hit towards the middle of the face went to the right. So put that in your memory banks for future reference as to maybe what was causing that. So on the left here is the before view, if you will, with the target being that direction. Anyway, so what we see here is no space at all nearly between the butt of the club and your right leg. And then again, your upper body, meaning your shoulders and your chest and your forearms, pointing to the right, which is where the ball was going, if you managed to hit it on the middle of the face. Okay? On the right here was after. We can see there's a little bit of space now between the butt of the club and your right leg, which is good. This is a pitching wedge, so you need a little bit of space. And your whole upper body, shoulders, chest, and forearms is more square. We can see a little bit of your shirt on your right arm there. Okay? So that's more how I want you to be. So big issues with the setup. How would you be able to detect this yourself? I guess if you set up in a mirror, that would help. I know it's not always convenient to have a mirror wherever. Otherwise, having some credible and knowledgeable eyes watching you, or you simply self-coach that next time you start to go into this ball flight pattern, towards the heel, hosel, neck shots, when you do hit it solid, it just flies, kind of in the same direction here on the left. Your chest and everything is kind of pointing this way, and that's where your golf ball was going if you hit it on the club face. So, just trying to get you to the point where you can self-coach a little bit. We used a couple of random models here. Setup, wedge. You can see there's more space there. We can see a bit of the right forearm. Same thing here. Space between the butt of the club and the right leg, a bit of the right forearm. Then the only other thing we want to keep our eye on is, will this better adjusted setup create a more square club face? So again, one of your checkpoints, you could never ever think about this or do it at full speed because it's too fast, but when just before impact, sometimes we call this the delivery position, when the shaft is parallel to the ground, we would like to see the face of the club vertical, straight up and down. And we can see that in this swing here on the right, not much, but you can see how your club face is angled in, which is a slightly closed position. So that's how it would present itself at impact, and you can see it there. This is just after impact, but the club face is in fact pointing in a closed position, meaning it's pointing to the right of, for you, to the right of the target. And that's exactly where that ball went. Remember, the ball will always go, provided that you hit it somewhere near the center of the club face. The ball will take off and go where the club face is pointing. Okay, my friend. We'll see you soon. Actually, let's go to this view before I sign off here. I like your setup from here. One thing we continue to see is this hip issue where your hips tend to slide out a little bit in the backswing, and then you can never get back on the way through. So let's use some different colors here. So it's critical that on pretty much any shot that it impact your front leg. So for you, your right leg is about halfway through that yellow line, and so we can see what happens is there's some lateral movement of your lower body in the backswing, which makes it difficult then for you to get back through that yellow line. You get back to right about where you started. And the tendency there, Dan, like we've talked about in the past, is it's going to cause the club head to bottom out back here. which creates either a thin or a fat strike. So I'd like you to try, we've talked about this, try to keep that, that lower body, your hips and even your left knee inside that green line on the way back, because then it's going to be a lot easier to get through it on the way through. We used an old school model there, just general. There's an old picture of Byron Nelson, and he had a little bit of hip movement in the backswing, but not as much as you. But we want to notice where he ends up at impact. So you can see his hips go through there just a little bit in the backswing. Not as much as you. Yet on the forward swing you can see he gets about half of that lead leg, almost more of it, through the yellow line, which allows that club to bottom out at or after, ideally, the ball. Alright, amigo.